Hello, everybody. My name is Banana Man, and I suck at Starcraft 2. Today's episode, I'm pretty happy to report some good progress with the build. I've been practicing, and it's paying off. I've played maybe 4 or 5 games, I think. Don't remember too much. Lost a couple, but uh, those aren't the ones I'm going to show this time, at least, because today's episode, hence the thumbnail slash the title of the video, we got some funny moments with some Terrans who were pretty salty about losing, and I'm proud that I managed to break some poor gamers' hearts and get some people seething. It's funny. It's quite funny. Um, so yeah, 2 games, 2 simple games. Won't be too long of a video. I think I'm gonna try and keep it that way in the future. I realize the first and second episode in this series are pretty long, so I figured maybe cutting back a little will make it seem a little more manageable approach, so it's not just an hour of me talking. So, with that out of the way, let's get right into game number 1. Okay, starting right into game number 1, we have on the top left of Cosmic Sapphire, me. And on the bottom left, our salty Terran, Xenos. Xenos? One of the two. I think Xenos from Warhammer, so I'm gonna say probably Xenos or Xenos. Anywho, the first 2 minutes of this game are relatively calm. I need to learn, you can't really Reaper block on this. You can kind of, I don't know, maybe the pylon needs to be part of the wall. Like if it's a pylon... If it's pylon, gate... If the pylon is here, can you... I'll have to do some testing, but I don't think you can block here. So I should have just done here and here. That's okay, though. Yeah, like I said, the first 2 minutes or so are pretty standard. I go for the block, even though my opponent hasn't gone down yet. So I decide to scout and try to attack the SCV, but it's just immune right now. So there we go. Start zapping away. Meanwhile, behind this, I need to start sending my probe out. There he is to make the cyber core. Though unfortunately, I get a little distracted, I think, having to kill this guy, that I don't make cyber core yet. Come on. There we go. And now the probe is trapped. So great start. And I think we lost the probe. No. The probe's right here. The probe's getting away. But this poor probe is in jail. So I had to take another probe to make the pylon and the nexus, along with making the gas. So, you know, a solid start. I think I decided to recall. Which I think is the right call, because I want to have this guy back, and I wasn't going to cancel this. So, unless I get a prism very late in the game. Yeah, I just recall him. Which means I can't chrono the next adept. Or the first adept at all. So the Reaper actually is going to get some time to shine before the adept does anything. Which sucks for me, but that's alright. Not too much aggression, just kind of a scouting Reaper. My worker count is still pretty okay, and the adept pops out just at that second, but I don't think I notice it quite. So my adept ends up running down. You can see the little dot down here before I'm like, oh shoot, I need to bring him back up. Though, thankfully, Mr. Reaper Man, he's only got 1 kill so far, so he kills this guy, and not much else happens. I think he gets this one too, so goes back for the probe kill, but ends up losing the Reaper, so resources lost aren't that bad. 2 probes for a Reaper, I think that's, for me, I think that's pretty alright. So nothing crazy, just back to making my adepts, trying to stay on track for the build, and I set the Dark Shrine in the base. Now, if I had my pylon out already, I definitely should have proxied. I don't know why I didn't proxy this match. And it actually ends up biting me in the butt because my opponent, well, not yet, but my opponent scans just to get the Dark Shrine in range, which is quite unfortunate. Yeah, I only send the proxy out about 4 minutes in, which I think it's better to keep. I've been trying to test to keeping the worker in the base for longer, and then just sending him back. But this time I actually think I sent the worker to stand in this watchtower, which ended up being really important for the future. But just getting my adepts so far. My opponent has been taking it pretty easy. Those 2 mules really allowed the economy to boost up. And here's the scan. Gets the scan, sees the Dark Shrine, and is already putting turrets down. Already put one down in the main base, which was interesting. Didn't know if... I guess my opponent was worried about oracles. But I notice that he scans and probably spots it. So while he's getting banshees, I'm ready to put the to take the DTs in and see what they can do. But just like the example game, this is, I believe the DTs do even less damage, though thankfully they don't die. So they run in, get absolutely blasted, and just start running away. So I decide to put one in the main. Oh, sorry, I decided to put one over by the 4th base location, or potential 5th, and this guy over here by the 3rd or the 4th. So, just deciding, you know what, gonna keep vision on my opponent, kind of turtles, and decides to take things easy. I'm over here, I've got my 3rd base on the way, and I'm flooding a little bit of cash, but I think I'm doing an alright job. Getting double gas, getting ready to transition from my robotics bay, so I can eventually make a 2nd robo. And here, if we check my vision, thankfully, that probe, I think those are, I'm pretty sure I thought they were medevacs, but I then immediately noticed, alright, these are probably cloaked banshees, so we need to make, I thankfully already made an observer trying to scout, and then send the zealots in to charge the banshees. A little interesting. But thankfully I get my 2 stalkers.
Don't forget the rest of them.
And just my observer's out of position. Not there yet, so I have to do a full pull. So far the banshees have 5 kills. 8 kills. They deal quite a lot of damage, which is unfortunate, but the Oracle shows up, or the Observer shows up and starts chasing them. I'm realizing now the Observer's actually too slow, but thankfully this battery prolongs it just long enough for me to get in there and start sniping at them. The Banshee gets out, but yeah, this was pretty bad of a response. I should have had more stalkers, probably because, oh, I'm not mining from these gases, nor am I mining from these gases. If I were, I do believe I would have been able to get more stalkers, which would have been a little better. Behind this, my opponent has not expanded, and is instead getting a armory, and has, well, now is getting the 3rd base. A little late, because mine is already at being saturated. My opponent has very little infrastructure. He could easily make... He could be up to 5 racks if he wanted to focus on, specialty units. But his factory isn't making anything. His production is very little, which sucks for him. But it's good for me, because it means that despite losing the workers, I'm able to chrono out a bunch of probes, and forgot to notice that there was another form of harass in the Liberator just going for it. And I have my stalkers in position, so thankfully I catch it and decide, alright, well, we're gonna keep... Didn't even know my opponent was making these scans, checking these bases. But my DT right here is able to do some damage. even manages to get away. And that Raven sucks, but doesn't do much this game, if I remember. So, I've got my proxy pylon here, which I think I use in the future. But I'm ready to move out. Alright, let's get some damage done. I figure with the DTs from before, they'll be able to... I think we checked my view. Yeah, I select the DTs and the
when this was all
main army in two different things. So the main army is going to attack the third base and ram into this, while the DTs you see are going into the natural. This, I feel really good that I'm able to make these kinds of plays, and all while just kind of knowing. I think something that I've managed to grow is confidence that my units will at least do something. If they're not, you know, if I have a large amount of them, they're at least going to be able to do something when I'm not looking at them. And so there's kind of a trust that I didn't have before I started playing more often, which is interesting to note. Now, unfortunately, this Stalker is blocking all of these Zealots from getting us around. So, and also given the fact that I wrote it in my notes, but I forgot to mention that because of all the Liberator harass and the Banshee harass, I didn't get to work on Blink until 8 minutes, around 8 minutes 30, which, oh man, that really, you could really feel it. But this Stalker is just bottlenecking all of it, so these Zealots aren't able to do anything, and the Liberator's just able to shoot. But that's okay. I decide, you know what, we're just gonna go for the main mineral line in the natural and get my disruptors out and ready. So ready to just keep trying. Now here I honestly think, because I end up pulling back, and I think that's because of the Cloak of Banshee, but I could have kept some of the Zealots, because I mean, what's he have? He has nothing. If I have Zealots just going here, it's gonna take a while for one Banshee to deal with it. It'll at least take long enough that I should keep them there, which is a little unfortunate that I didn't really prioritize that. But I decided, you know what? Funny bone. Ow. I decide that it's better just to probe up and to get some Stalkers. My money has been okay in spending. Probius is leading the charge. The only problem is only now... Okay, my gases are saturated. I probably could go for a 5th gas if I wanted more Stalkers. Which would also mean how many... I have 7 gates. So I probably could have gone for... What did they scan? Oh, they were scanning for my 4th base. Interesting. Well, I'm ready to go in, and I could probably have made more gates is what I was going to say. But I do have the proxy pylon, and I did get supply block. But I'm able to spawn in. I'm able to spawn in all these guys. I went home. Okay, now it's finally following. But I get all my Stalkers here, and I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I mean, he's caught out of position. He's only got Liberators. He doesn't have anything else to protect them, so I can just charge in. And then I notice the BC, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's... I mean, I should have enough for that, and even if the BCs clear out the Stalkers, I've got plenty of Zealots on the ground. Just, I mean, they're going into the main base, they're harassing an extractor, a 4 soul, and they're just going in. And this is the first sign of deflecting, because he goes, Xenos goes, Lamau, those with no skill all in. Which is an interesting statement when I don't really consider this an all-in. I have 50 workers to his, what were, I think, 30 maybe. I had way more workers than him, and I was just pressuring him a second time. Like, I don't... It was funny. But then he leaves, and honestly, this game is pretty simple to explain. I think I stayed in for a little longer, just to just to enjoy the slaughter. But this game went pretty well. It went pretty simple. I think I was able to still shine despite not getting the DTs in. And my opponent really kind of struggled to spend his money, which meant that his force, when I eventually attacked him, was minuscule. It was 2 BCs and a couple of Marines. So, yeah, feeling really good about the first game. On to the second. Starting on this side of, I believe, Stargazers. Yep. We have me. And then on the other side, who is claiming to be Drink, we have Fart Inhaler from the clan One Anus. So already an interesting title, and an interesting name. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a fun game. I definitely remember it going a little off script because there was some harass from both games. There was some harass from liberators that kind of just set me to failure, but I'm ready to go again with the scout and just see what's going on. Very curious from an opponent who is claiming to be intoxicated. So I'm like, okay, this will be at least fun. At least be interesting. And my opponent goes for the eBay block. So this is something that I didn't stop, that I probably should be thinking of more in the future, especially if I catch the SCV going for my base so early. I don't know. I make the... Alright, still very late on making the cybernetic score. But
Your probes are under attack.
While they're going, he's mining, and my SCV's like, alright. Or their SCV's are like, alright, time to block. I'm like, dang it. Okay, well, I'll set him to attack, and I guess he's not gonna kill him? So... Oh, it's stuck on the follow, so it's not actually looking what I'm looking at. I'm looking at his base, ready to send the probe back in. But I probably should have also I should have definitely controlled that guy. But instead I go to make a zealot. My opponent sprays. So there's a little bit of banter going on. And I'm like, okay, well, guess we'll see how this game goes. I then decide I'm going to send these 2 probes out to mine those so I can at least get my natural in the pocket base. And I'll have the zealot to deal with.
They found your probes, and it's not going to be
eBay.
pretty.
I try to get in with the scout, but don't get anything. Though I do manage to block his base, which I was like, okay, that seems good. It means he'll also have to take from the pocket, which my opponent does start doing. So I'm dealing with this, and I try to catch the SCV, but don't, so I just head back. And I'm like, alright, well, I'm not going to be able to make my Nexus for a while, so let's get a little aggressive. Let's make triple gate and go for my Twilight. Make sure I get my Twilight, which definitely could have been a little earlier, but let's take a Zealot and an Adept across the map and get a little aggressive. My opponent sure is building a reactor, but there's a lot of money floating as well, and things are just kind of slow this game for both of us, which is kind of fun. But I've already got my second base going. Well, he is floating to the natural, or to the pocket. So now it's my turn to strike and deal some damage. So I get ready to go in up the ramp and send in my Adept through its shade, and I managed to snipe the starport, which felt pretty nice. Being able to do that meant I wouldn't run into any real problems with Liberators or Medevacs or Banshees until a little later on. I think I've killed 6 SCVs? Yeah. Which feels pretty good for a Zealot. I manage again, just before it's about to finish, to interrupt the starport. I kill the Marine. I'm just having a blast here. So I'm like, okay, well, let's send over these Zealots a little, I think. I'm focused on keeping the adept alive, who I do manage to get out, which also feels pretty good. Alright, well, we've got our second base going. Let's start spending some cash and go for the offensive. Keep going. Behind this, my opponent is making another CC, a very quick CC, and is starting to spend all of his money, canceling the reactor, I believe, for a tech lab. And after this, I believe he starts to make mines. So, I think... Okay, not quite. Now, also unfortunately, my opponent is focused on over here, when suddenly I come in and attack with quite a larger force. I get my shade in again, and my adept has done her job and dies for ire. But that's okay, because 3 zealots and 2 stalkers are in, with another zealot coming in and plenty of money to spend if I wanted to. There we go. So, I managed to just wipe out the mineral line, and yeah, it's pretty much over from this point. If it weren't for these 2 mines that assassinate 2 stalkers and a zealot, thankfully, without trying too hard, I don't believe I microed that guy, but this zealot just decides to target the mines, which I'm really, really thankful for, because if that wasn't going to happen, I would have been it definitely would have been a lot harder. It's definitely why I made the Robo instead of a Dark Shrine or anything like that, because I wanted an observer. At this point, though, I've got 12 zealots, and I'm ready to just keep going. I also realized once I get Blink, I can blink in through here. Once I get Eye Vision, which I think I can get the warp, or with the tower. But I'm able to do some decent damage. I'm able to keep him on his side of the map, and just lots and lots of pressure. My worker count could be better. It could be a lot better. So I am ready to keep going. With 800 gas, I definitely could pull from gas to get ready. Now, I also catch with the watchtower, I catch this Liberator, who I'm able to react a lot quicker to, and I don't believe I lose too many to. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, man. I think it was 5, actually. So, still losing a decent amount of workers, but I'm able to rebuild quite easily with Chrono. Until then, during this, however, I also am attacking the front with all these zealots, and warping in more zealots in the back. I decided, because I had gotten charge, because I believe I only have charge. Oh no, I have charge and blink. I think I got charge first. I don't remember. But because I have charge, these zealots are pretty strong. And I do definitely sacrifice some stalkers for no reason. Though it's okay when all these zealots just getting hammered away by the Liberator. It's all okay though, because my opponent just starts going on a rant about, I don't know, I feel kind of bad for him. It's a little sad to see, but I'm just glad that I got the win, and I thought it was a little funny, and yeah, in the interim, while I'm trying to work towards getting ready for a tournament on Friday, I thought some fun, lighthearted games where I trash some people who start complaining is kind of fun, because here we go. My opponent just keeps... I don't know why they haven't left yet. Like, I feel like he went through multiple stages of grief. Like rage, and then denial. Not in that order. So, you know, grief works in mysterious ways. It's just funny. I think it's funny that it was two Terrans who I played in a row, twice in a row, who just started complaining the moment they were losing. Um, and to be frank, like I said, that's kind of it for this episode. I wanted to get another video out because we do appease the YouTube gods. But I also thought this was a good update. I mean, I think I've been getting better. Definitely needed to spend my money more. Definitely could have made more infrastructure. And I would have just been that more ahead. I definitely could have gone, excuse me, I definitely could have gone up to 4 more gates to a total of 8. Get a, I think I tried to get an immortal at some point, but decided to just make stalkers. Oh no, I went for the warp prism instead to make stalkers add, which I then sacrificed to the liberator. Regardless, you know, I'm feeling better about my skills when it comes to growing and getting better at this game. So hopefully that's shown. We've got 4 episodes out now, which is exciting. And currently, it is November 1st, Tuesday. So I have 3 days to prep for a tournament. I am a little scared, but I'll try to get out another video before that for some serious prep and just a mental attitude, how I'm feeling, what I'm expecting, and this is kind of serving as that as well. So I'm getting ready. I've got this DT build going. I didn't show it in this video because it literally ends the moment the DT shows up. My opponent just left the game. But I did play against a Protoss, and at the moment the DTs hit, my opponent conceded. So I feel like the build can work against a lot of different races. I feel like it doesn't just have to be against Terran, though it does hit sooner with Terran because I don't need to go 2 gate or I don't need to go Stargate or anything to keep me safe from all-ins from roaches. But it's a niche thing I think I can pick up. I'm thinking maybe in a best of 3. Geez, if I notice in the first game that my opponent isn't paying attention to detection, maybe it'll be a lot easier to slip in a couple DTs here and there. But that'll be for the next video where we do some theory crafting, some practicing, maybe some live games, so I can talk about my thought process during. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and my name is Banana Man, and I definitely still suck at Starcraft 2. Thanks, and have a great day.